you have to do while basically playing this entire other series of defensive games with Clem.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So this game, Reynor has opted for a third base. We'll be able to get it down immediately. Did delay his speed a little bit to do that, but totally worth it at the end of the day. And only losing one link so far to this Reaper, I think Reynor's going to be more than happy with how this has gone so far. Even getting to get the creep tumor down without even having to fight for it. So far, so good for Reynor. Second Banshee will be made. Sometimes Terrans tend to keep their Banshee at home because right now, it could still technically be a fake. Like, Reynor doesn't know. He's going to be making the Spore Crawlers anyway because you always have to respect it a little bit. In fact, he does have a few units out on the map. Is that the Banshee over to the far left here? Yes, it is. So we'll see what they both do. It does look like the engineering bays are going to be going down fairly late for Clem. Just emphasizing getting up those barracks super quick just so he can get out a lot of Marines very fast.
Yeah, nice creep tumor pickoffs over there for Clem. He's gonna actually just use the Banshee to join the fray and actually go after the Queens. Reynor is finally gonna turn around and start attacking the Banshee a little bit, but he's trying to get back to his reinforcements, getting further back onto creep. There comes in the Cloak, finally finishing on up. Overseer starting up only just now, so his Banshee does have free reign for another 5 or so seconds. Finally is gonna go ahead and back on off, but still very healthy and even has a lot of energy left over as the second Banshee joins with it.
Yeah, really nice for Clem so far. Getting those 2 queens, like Reynor has to remake them, though he's still on 7 queens with 2 more making. So Reynor, he's trying to be as greedy as possible with his larvae, trying to get out as many works as possible. And nice, I don't think Clem expected this at all, but does get away with the Banshee just about.
Yeah, transfuse available, so keeps both those queens healthy. Reynor really on point on that defense, and Clem finally having to just back off over here, returns to the third base to ensure there's no Ling run by, something that Reynor is very, very good with and definitely made a name for himself off of. And Reynor is just making sure that his defenses are up to snuff. He's clearing out the rocks to prevent any kind of siege tanks or nice plays that Terran players love to use and abuse on this map. And it looks like both these players have actually backed off. Kind of a rare moment of peace from both players, I would say.
Clem is starting to put on the pressure in a very, very good way.
Widowmine trying to come back in over here and actually finds a little area where the Lings are not quite paying attention. Gonna be able to snag another 3 workers over there. Very nicely done. Clem also starting to clean up even more of the creep, potentially closer to the center, opening up another opportunity to attack in as his army comes down through the left-hand side of the map.
This is really nice movement by Clem. Reynor will catch up in upgrades, which is a really big deal fighting this. He's also getting Hive, and we can't forget, he's gone up to 5 bases, even though he's been under a lot of pressure from the Frenchmen, which is no easy feat. But right now, the armies are fairly close, although as close as they've ever been in this game.
Yeah, Reynor has to be so careful with the control over here. A lot of this creep threat is getting cleaned up. Oh, the Widowmine betraying some of those Marines there. Reynor getting a nice juicy connection with his opponent's units, but we're starting to see more units coming in on this right-hand side. Widowmine going off on the Queen, not rather than the Lings or the Banelings. So Reynor is going to be able to defend for a little bit, but all of the creep spread in front of the hatchery is now gone.
Yeah, it's not for nothing, is it? And 2-2 hasn't started yet either. So even though the fights are going as well as they could, maybe soon they won't. Reynor will get supply blocked here with that Overlord dying. And Clem, he does have to get on out of here, but he's doing a good job of making sure that there's no creep spread on that middle of the map and a big drop of Widowmines, Marines on the right side.
Absolutely no units here besides the Queens for Reynor. They're going to be able to buy a bit of time. It looks like Widowmine's just going to be going off on the Queens yet again. Clem will eventually have to pick up over here, and even picks up before the Widowmines all decide to go off. He heads over to the main base just to try and distract Reynor a little bit, but look at this, the double Spore Crawler setup. He's going to be able to get the medevac, and just those 4 Marines already stemmed up are going to have a hard time getting too much more damage done.
Reynor's drone count is insane. He's up to 98 drones, despite being under so much pressure here. And this is one of the only maps that I'd say that this style maybe isn't the best on. But if he can withstand the brunt of everything, he's going to be looking phenomenal. Yeah, it's actually crazy. I mean, Lurkers don't care as much about upgrades because they're just so good against clumps of bio. But the tide is changing a little bit because Clem, he's now the one that wants to be defensive, right? He wants to start being like, okay, this has to turn into a war of attrition game because I haven't been able to kill you. And I think Reynor sort of realizes that that's maybe what it's turning into. And so Reynor has to be so careful now, which this is actually very brutal.
Yeah, not a lot of units over here on the top left-hand side left over. There's a Viper trying to get a bit of energy, but Clem might even be able to continue pushing in a little bit further forward as Reynor is still rallying his units together. This is where a big fight is going to be breaking on out. Reynor's army just doesn't look that scary just yet, though. He still needs to rally a bit more forward. Some of the lurkers coming on forward. The Baneling's going to be able to leverage a bit of that creep spread, but the creep is already beginning to receive more Banelings come rolling on in, though. Reynor hitting on the offense at the same time that he tries to get this defense up.
These Marauders are being used sublimely here, forcing their own wall. The ghost snipes are happening now, and taking out even the Morphin lurkers here. That's a lot of Banelings, but trying to connect off creep against the kid, it's freaking hard to do. Even this defense, the Widowmine, oh my goodness, huge.
Oh, and barely manages to dodge another one of those big Widowmine connections. More ghosts got to be coming on forward as Reynor sees, oh no, the entire army's coming down the left-hand side. There's no more hit left, hit right. It is all just hit with one big army through either the center or the left-hand side. Looks like Clem is going to be rotating around with said army. He's going to be able to catch a lot of these drones on the transfer, so no longer over the 100 worker count or even the 90 worker count at this point.
Yeah, now it's a bit more of a normal worker count actually at 85, but this is still a lot of Reynor on the map. Does catch a ghost, but doesn't quite get it here. Oh, his army's looking significantly worse than Clem's. Like Clem, his pre-splitting is great, and that ghost count's getting super scary now.
Lurker is getting sniped off yet again, and it just feels like Reynor doesn't have any power units. Finally, here come in the Banelings. Gonna try and come in from both angles, but we already see the Widowmines are there to intercept them. They take out all of the Banelings. So many ghosts in the mix as well, and now we're starting to see that Clem is pushing on forward. He's taking out more of these Banelings, sniping off more of the Vipers, and he is pushing on forward. Reynor's just out of steam. There's just not many units left over.
Load up the resources lost tab for a second here, because that is the real tale of this game. Look at that, 32k versus 18. Clem traded so damn well, microing everything perfectly. There's maybe that one moment, even sniping drones. Come on, that's like mana muling at this point.
Lings are going to get a full surround. It looks like he will be able to force a lift off over here and a retreat there from Clem, but the supplies really do tell the tale. Even with this lurker getting an absurd amount of damage actually done, we're starting to see that Clem is looking so strong in this game right now. He is doubling the army supply of Reynor. Reynor is out of Banelings. He's got 1 Hydra and 4 lurkers. His army is basically just a handful of Lings right now.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like this map, we can't forget. Oh, value lurker. It's really hard for Zerg this map. Like Reynor's style, getting a lot of workers and stuff. It's good when you can out-expand your opponent, but on this map, you can't do that. And so this might be the worst map for Reynor's style, which, to say how well he held on for super huge amounts in this game, it does make me very excited for this series.
Yeah, Lurker's going to be able to find an opportunity to reburrow. The Lings also managed to find an opportunity to get that run by they were looking for before. A lot of Lurkers have been remade over by this forward base. He's going to be able to deny the mining over here, but he might be able to need to do a bit more than that because he is absolutely going to be trading at least one of these bases, if not more. Yeah, Clem, this army, the amount of ghosts that he has, they're great for snipes, but they also destroy Lings. So this army, and the Widowmine drop. Clem's playing so fast. He's everywhere. Reynor's trying to deal counter damage. SCV's hugging that lurker to death. I'm not sure that's going to work. Yeah, full surround on lurkers doesn't usually pan out, especially if they have some armor upgrades against the workers. That lurker, it looks like actually surprisingly, is Clem just out of scans? Has he been scanning that much to deal with these lurkers? Man, that's actually pretty crazy.
Oh, what does he do from here?
Still just sitting on that +1 missile attack upgrade. Still just sitting on the +2 melee. His weapon upgrades are definitely lagging a bit behind. Hold position lurkers! Oh my god, but the scan comes out. He does manage to back out just in the nick of time. That could have been a game-changing move right there. It doesn't quite go as well as Reynor would have wanted. He does get at least a little bit for his troubles.
That was actually a super cool attempt. But yeah, this amount of ghosts now. I mean, how do you engage it? Look at the Lings. They just melt away. And the snipes, there's so many of them. At this point, Clem can do anything, but the lurker flank is kind of cool, but Clem loads on up, but parasitic bomb, how fast did he split? Bloody damn fast.
Yeah, gonna be able to get at least a couple of these medevacs, and 1 or 2 of them did have units inside. But man, Reynor, I think the flank it came a little bit too late. He lost too many units on the front lines, and we're starting to see he's continuing to bleed on out. Like you were saying, Ben, the Lings do not stand up to the Ghosts, and Clem is gonna take a game number 1. I am excited to see how Reynor's gonna be able to make that same sort of style work on this map if he decides to go for that.
Yeah, definitely. And the drone will get turned into a spore just to keep it safe and alive so it can be used another day. This so far is just like, the early game shenanigans. This game, Reynor's getting speed again. Clem going for the exact same build thus far with the early 3rd CC just off 1 gas.
Well, Queen getting knocked a bit further off of Creep and almost gets knocked further to actually kill that Reaper, but Reaper gets out alive for now. And like you said, 3rd CC already getting started on up here.
But yeah, it's definitely looking to deal damage, that's for sure. Is he going for a surround here? Oh, he actually went behind the Queens. They're sectioned off. This is a huge start to this game.
Not really a pathway that they can retreat from, because they're now basically having to retreat off of Creep, and we're already seeing that 3 of these Queens getting taken out. The Banshees are going down, though. They soften up some of these Queens. The Hellbats now going to have to do their slow little waddle onto Creep, giving Reynor a bit more time to make some more units. Queens are getting chased on down, and the Lings, I mean, they want to help out, but do they really want to help out against this?
Yeah, the Baneling nest was super late here. I don't think the trade was so bad so far. Like the 2 Banshees doing nothing. Great split by Reynor. He's really minimizing the damage and buying so much time. He bought so much time that he actually got transfused on that 1 Queen just then. But this is the indirect damage we were talking about. So many Lings have been produced here, and Reynor's done a good job of not super overproducing. But yeah, that went pretty good. Both of them did a lot of crisis management there and handled it really well considering.
First couple of Banelings are morphing on in, or at least the second round of them. Baneling speed's so close to finishing on up, and it looks like he is going to have an overwhelming number of units to push this back. But like you were saying, the creep spread is really just not there yet. Reynor would love to just buy a little bit more space so he can get those creep tumors up and give himself a bit more of a defensive advantage here, but Clem is not going to give him that opportunity. He's looking for these stims. He's looking for the opportunity to move on forward, and I even love the Hellbats just sitting at that Zelnaga Watchtower, ready to deal with any interceptions or run-bys. Reynor goes for the big cleanup over here while getting that run-by into the 3rd base, though.
Oh, these Lings, they're going to deal some damage, but this feels like a you're trapped in here with me rather than me trapped in here with you. We talked about that earlier damage, Ravi. I think the Hellbats did more than enough because 1-1's finished now. Clem is not slowing down. He's actually taken a 4th base behind all this pressure, and he's already eked out like a 25 supply lead. This is going really well for the Frenchman.
Reynor's pulling all of his units down over here to deal with these Marines that are rallying across the map. Almost gets the pick off on the medevac full of Marines. There is a force in the top left-hand side also pushing in, and I think that is where the newly created hatchery is going up. Reynor has a few units over here with those Widow Mines. Is going to be very important that Reynor's able to control this well to clean this up, because he does not have the units to spare elsewhere. A pretty good cleanup, I would say, all things considered.
By Clem, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, like these fights, they're so hard. Like Reynor, he's barely hanging on here on the right. He's getting his 5th base cancelled. You might be like, 5th base? He doesn't need a 5th base. He absolutely does. Look at his bank. He's barely got any hatcheries left. Like, his Queens have been in fights the whole time. He needs to spend his money. He needs the hatcheries. But Clem's not giving him any time whatsoever.
Man, that hatchery going down is really going to hurt now. Reynor also going to have to worry about this 4th base over here in the bottom right, because only has a handful of Banelings over here. Widowmine's coming off of cooldown. He's continuing to just push on forward. The medevac loading up on that top left-hand side, maybe getting ready to move in from another angle yet again. Reynor's going to be on top of this one, get some good Baneling connections, but still a few of those units survive, and it's just going to be another worry for Reynor later on.
That was like some of the first time I've seen Clem actually kind of soak up some Banelings there, but yeah, it gives Reynor a little bit of time here to breathe, but not long, Ravi. Like, Clem's back at it again. He was trying to put down that hatchery, and it's like, where does he go? Where does he go? And look at this. That's 6 Widow Mines to clean up. Tell you what, good damage avoidance there by Reynor.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get a couple of kills on those Widow Mines as well. And now there are still more units moving in on the top left-hand side. This is the medevac that managed to survive, joining forces with some other reinforcements over here, but cleaning up even more of the creep spread. Now the Evo chambers are actually in a very, very vulnerable position. Reynor cannot afford to give up too much more ground here, or he's going to start losing his 2-2 upgrades.
Oh, Baneling snipes. Like the Zergling splits against the Widow Mines have been great, but Clem, like, look at that again. Reynor splits against so many of them, but the one that hits, because there's so many of them on the field, there's 16 Widow Mines. Like, this is crazy tempo play.
Clem finding another opportunity to get these Widow Mine drops in over here, just distracting Reynor yet again. Only the Queens over here to defend. The Banelings coming in to try and help out. The Widow Mines gonna get their opportunity to burrow, and they actually get some connections on a couple of the Banelings over here. Eventually, this army gets pushed back, and the medevacs look like they're finally taking a minute to chill out for a moment, but Clem is still just continuing to pressure on every front, and he's now leading up almost 60 supply.
Yeah, he's got more workers. He's been expanding behind this as well. He's on 5 bases now. He's getting up to Ghost Tech as well. In fact, he just hit 2-2, but as did Reynor, and Reynor does clean up this drop a little bit in the top left, which is good for him, but again, look at the creep spread. It's not as if Reynor hasn't been trying to spread, it's just constantly denied by the Terran.
Unbelievable amounts of pressure here, and Reynor is going to be able to bait some Widow Mines onto the Bioforce, get some of the cleanup, but there is still a lot where that came from. And Reynor is still just trying to morph in more Banelings to help clean this up, to push this back, but it's just a parade of bio that comes across the map every couple of seconds. I think that this is starting to hit the point where Reynor is starting to cave. There's a few more Banelings left over, but a lot of Marauders and a lot of Widow Mines still left over. Clem is not going to get cleaned up this time. The Queens are getting focus fire down. The Lings are not enough on their own to clean this up, and very soon those drones are going to start falling. But first, Reynor taps out. Now we do have an interesting engineering bay block over here from Clem, trying to force Reynor to take the forward third base, which is on this map a big danger zone, I feel like.
This is super cool by Clem. Yeah, forcing your opponent to try and take that as the third is very unusual, but he does scout every game with an SCV, so just using it to plant down an engineering bay. Now he has to be careful because he's forced Reynor onto a 2-base situation, and it's definitely one of those things, right? Like, he's forced this, now he has to suffer the consequences of whatever is going to happen afterwards.
Yeah, Reynor's going to come in with that scouting overlord as well and sees the timing of a lot of this stuff, and is going to see that the factory just did that swap around not too long ago. So I think the Reynor should feel a little bit better about it. He's even getting up the spore crawlers and all of the mineral lines and everything, so really respecting the heck out of that slightly faster Banshee.
Yeah, this time the Hellion count will stop at 6. So none of that crazy play, at least no armory and what have you. The Banshee, though, it's going to be kind of tricky to get damage in. Wow, Reynor respecting this so much that he actually pulled all the drones off the line before the Hellions even arrived. That just shows you that he felt that this was too early to defend the third appropriately, and that was nice foresight by Reynor because he doesn't lose a thing so far.
Yeah. Banshee tries to poke in between the main and the natural. Is not going to find a whole lot thus far, especially since there is already a spore crawler finished up over there. And the spore crawler by the third is not actually in the mineral line, or it wasn't originally at least. It was actually between the natural and the third. So makes it a little bit easier for these Banshees to escape around and migrate between the bases. But layers getting started on up. Overseers will eventually allow Reynor to move between these bases a little bit more easily. Until then, these Banshees do have a bit of rain between the bases.
They do, and Lair isn't finished yet. Okay, the first couple of drones do fall this game thus far, and that just shows you that Reynor's defended super well, and he knows it. He pumps out 12 drones at once. Lair's already like 80% done. The Baneling Nest is on its way too. This is already a really good start for Reynor, I feel, and even though the early engineering bay block was cute and not actually very good, I think Reynor's starting to get to a place that he's like, okay, this is the game to start my comeback, because this is where Clem just doesn't skip a beat at all, and he does it seemingly better than anyone. That tank there is ridiculously hard to kill.
That is not a fun position to try and break between the gas geyser and the minerals, but Spore Caller is going to be the first thing taken on out. A massive Ling run by attempt over here from Reynor is going to find all of the SCVs at the third base. Now, let's hope that Reynor is going to have something to follow up with on the defense over here to make sure that he doesn't lose too much on his own.
Oh, that's a lot of suicided overlords, but 17 SCVs fall. This might force Clem to play way more aggressive than he ever planned on doing, but Reynor supplied a lot for now.
Yeah, losing those overlords is going to hurt. And remember, Reynor also just lost a lot of those Lings to get that damage done as he tried to bust through the natural. So he is a little bit lower on supply on top of all of that as well. Clem still maintained that position right outside of Reynor's natural expansion with that siege tank still set up over there. But there aren't really a lot of reinforcements coming in over here for Clem. So I think that Reynor should eventually be able to push this back. He just wants to be able to take an efficient trade for it.
Yeah, Reynor's buying time. Look at that 1-1. He's being so patient about this. He knows his timing window to clean this up. That's a lot of Banelings.
Almost more than he knows what to do with over there. Just decides to go after the Marines after already massacring the 8 SCVs that were there. Now, Banshee's be able to find a little bit of damage over here. It's just being annoying, also trying to pull Reynor a bit apart, but all the Lings looking in for a surround on A, and the reinforcements that are coming on out, they are getting some of those kills, but a lot of these Lings are going to have to end up backing off over here as Clem reinforces this position outside the natural.
Yeah, Clem's kind of, I don't want to say super all in with this, but he has to do something, and he is slowing down Reynor. Because, yeah, this third has been super thwarted by Reynor. Reynor's done a good job of just taking this game really by the pants.
Well, Clem is still up a bit in army supply. Let's see if he can make it happen with this army. He gets surrounded from both sides by a little bit, and we end up seeing as all the Marines start to disappear. The siege tank line is under attack, and Reynor is able to hold strong. All of his queens still alive. More Zerglings on the way. Medevac starting to get picked off as well. It really does seem like Reynor has a handle on this defense, which was kind of the big all-in that Clem had to make work.
He did. Clem's still trying to mine from this third, and he's still doing a decent job. He also has a second wave with this, but though the Banelings, they're getting close, and last second pickup by Clem does keep his Marines alive, but all the tanks cleaned up now. This is the cleanup that Reynor really needed in this game.
Reynor finally finding some solid positional defenses over here. We're starting to see that Clem is running out of steam. There are more Banelings being made. There's going to pretty soon be almost as many Banelings as there are Marines on this attack, and I think that's going to be a very comfortable position for Reynor. And remember, that third base, it has been having so much trouble starting to mine, but if Clem stops the rally across the map, that third base is just going to lose all of its mining again. In fact, actually, Reynor has segmented off some Lings to go prevent mining again. There's the GG.
But yeah, second gas starts up pretty early as well for Clem. And now he's going to start getting the Hellion production going. Most likely going to be getting out a Banshee. I think Banshee's pretty good on this map. Just as a general rule, given that roaches are a possibility, it's nice to play a little bit safe. And the third base that Reynor's exposed, it's nice if you have a Banshee at the top of the ramp between the bases, because then you can kind of poke at not just the ramp and the transferring drones, but also maybe get a little poke on that mineral line too.
I mean, we've definitely seen how important the creep is in just being able to maintain a little bit of a defensive position, and Reynor has pretty much been the defender for a lot of the early pushes and everything that have been coming his way. So being able to maintain that creep is super important. He's going to prioritize those queens being on the front line, spreading that creep as creep tumors are getting picked off, try and buy some space and time. But man, I think that Clem is doing a great job just continuously wrapping around the creep tumors and trying to find opportunities to snipe them off. But this Ling run by going to be pretty problematic for Clem right now. There's only 3 Marines here, but some nice SCV micros are going to be able to save the day. He's still losing a lot of workers now.
Yeah, 4 workers dying, 5, maybe that's 6. It was nice, little target fire by Reynor. That is absolutely what he was after. And Clem, that wall off not being done definitely bit him in the butt there. He does start good Marine production. He's up to 5 at a time. We'll be making the 4th and 5th barracks too. And his upgrades, this time, they're not as ahead as he wanted them to be. Oh, Reynor, I think he could go for that 3rd, actually.
Yeah, I think he's going to realize that two fresh mules here as well is going to maybe be able to get a pick off on one of them. Might even be able to find a couple of these Marines and some of the SCVs. He continues to run on in. The Hellions have to pull back again, Ben. I mean, sometimes it's the damage that you don't see And just the fact that the Hellions and the Raven had to pull all the way back, you start to look and see, well, these Hellions and the Raven have not been pushing back creep for almost a minute and a half to 2 minutes. The creep is definitely getting a lot further out there now on every front.
Yeah, like Clem's done no economic damage, like none. It's been 9 workers killed, but not the workers you expect. Okay, speaking of workers killed, that is a lot of drones. The Queens are out of position.
They're going to go after the safe drones that these Hellions can at least pick off and then retreat out relatively safely. One Hellion goes down, but he does not want to commit in too much further.
Clem's keeping his minerals so low because he needs units. He needs them now. Oh, no.
There's a good reaction over there from Clem. Doesn't have the full wall off on that bottom left-hand side, which, you know, sometimes walling it off can make it harder to do the run bys, but, well, it's also important to have a little bit of an escape path for your SCVs.
I'm a bit scared for Clem. If this game goes on for a long period of time, he's not only going to be behind in economy, but behind in upgrades. Because he hasn't even started to... Okay, now he starts to. Thank goodness. Nice Widowmine connection as well to get things started.
A couple SCVs going to be going down. 5 workers and potentially a 6 or so. So some nice little damage on that run by. And again, just distracting Clem. So now we're looking for the surround on the attack of the front. The Queens trying to handle these Hellbats. They have some transfuse energy available. Reynor finally finds the attention to actually start microing those Queens and buying some additional time. Continue to poke away at those Hellbats, which will eventually have to pick up and get out of there.
Oh, it's so close in supply. Reynor's doing a really good job of hanging on. Like a really damn good job. Also, the splits from him with the Zerglings has been phenomenal against the Widowmines. Against any other Zerg, I wouldn't be surprised if these Widowmines were doing critical damage at this point.
Yeah, especially with how many different things are still going on at every given moment in this game. This attack is coming on forward while Clem loads up another attack to hit on the south side later on. Widowmine's going off, and ooh, that was a pretty juicy connection there on a lot of the Lings and the Banelings. Now I have to say, you know what? The Muslim, you jinxed it a little bit. Clem is finding all the big Widowmine hits now.
I mean, I'm glad I jinxed it. Keeps Clem in the game because, for real, Reynor's been playing so damn well. So those Hellbats ran back, because I don't think that's tanks in those. But Clem does take a 4th base behind this. Oh, the Widowmine drop!
Widowmines have definitely been getting some solid damage. He really needs another Overseer here. I hope he has an Overseer on the way. Okay, there, I think he's finally starting to clean some of those up. Another medevac up here on the north. Oh no, there's still not an Overseer. Okay, there it is. Okay.
It'd have been funny if Clem would have been able to snipe that, actually. This Widowmine, again. I think Reynor's handling this phenomenally, honestly. Like, he's up to 94 drones. How does he find the time to eke out so many drones against all this pressure?
And not only that, but he's also been able to get up some of that tech. We're starting to see some of the Hydras coming out because the Lurkers are on their way. 5 Lurkers being morphed in right now. I think 4 of them should be finishing up pretty shortly. There's a little bit of liver harassment trying to come in, but the Queens are already in position here to defend, and Liberator is not going to be able to get almost anything done. And Reynor, even though he's just been on the defensive for a lot of the last couple of minutes of this game, now that he has those power units to try and push this army back, it becomes a lot harder for Clem to get damage done.
Yeah, Clem did kind of feel it was coming because the Ghost Academy is done now. And he just wants to keep those lurkers as far away as possible. This is where the real dynamic of the matchup changes, unless you leave all your lurkers alone.
Yeah, 2 of the Lurkers going down over there before finally being forced to lift up. Oh my god, that Widowmine getting a juicy connection, but there's a big run by over here, and the Banelings are looking for those SCVs. Only the Lings can really connect with them. Marauders tanking on the front lines, but Reynor is overwhelming this base of Clem. And even some of the production, a lot of the production is going down over here. Now Clem is going to fire back in the top side of the map, looking for some damage on the mineral line. Gonna force a retreat from the drones. The Queen's buying space and time, but Clem might even be able to get the hatchery if he's given just a little bit more time.
Yeah, definitely. Like, again, I'm so impressed by both these guys. The amount of pressure they're under, and they're still able to do the exact move that will keep them in the game. It's amazing. Even just picking up that Lurker, like, if he did manage to get away there from the Marauder Concussive Shell, it would have been phenomenal for him. Clem is expanding up the map as well, so he's not down and out by any means. He's still on 70 SCVs. It's just 3 of his Raxes with Tech Labs got killed there, so he can't transition into Ghosts.
That's going to make things extremely tough. And now the third base being forced to lift off. The depot is down as well for all of the Lings and Banelings to run on in. It looks like Reynor's going to run in with a few units, use the Lings and Banelings to also try and buy some time. The Lurker's also going to try and create a defensive position. Other Lings run into the main base and just cause more headaches right now for Clem. Because at the same time, Reynor hits on the north side where really just Clem has nothing.
Oh, I think Reynor's got this, man. Like, he's doing so well. He's hitting in every place that he needs to. 200 supply still as well. And 90 drones against how many SCVs? 55? Clem's wounded.
Clem is, I mean, he's limping right now. This is so tough. I don't know that he has the tools right now to come back from it, but he's got an even army supply, and he's going to go across the map and see what he can get done with it. Reynor is also segmenting some of his existing army supply to ensure this is a full-on all-in from Clem, that there's not going to be reinforcements joining because there's just not going to be an economy behind us. That's going to be great for Reynor, but he still is going to have to contend with this army for Clem. And he's already doing a good job just buying space again with these lurkers.
Yeah, Reynor's played amazing this game, and GG is called.
There's that third CC you were talking about, and we'll wait to see. Is he going to be throwing down that starport? Is he going to be throwing down that barracks that we saw, I think it was Hero Marine go for earlier today? Time will tell in the next few seconds.
Certainly will, certainly will. But in the meantime, a standard game between both these guys. Just going for what they've done as a tried and true, and it will be that 2-1-1 follow-up. I know Clem loves it on this map, and it is a lot about that creep spread in the middle, just keeping control, trying to keep the creep spread away from you. And yeah, a lot of fights do tend to happen in the middle, in the center zone, so battling for that as early as possible, getting that stim on the way, it's very, very important.
Yeah. Clem pokes in over here in the main base. Sees, all right, it's all looking well and normal. No cheeky shenanigans happening here in the game number 5 to settle things. And yeah, so what are the things that as Reynor moves in with the Overlord and very clearly scouts all of this out, and I think Reynor knows it. He's also just grabbing that 4th base up in that top right-hand side, and that's going to be covered by all the creep spread that's heading up to the north side. Reynor is going to feel so comfortable, so confident right now. Clem, he's got his head tilted down. He's trying to focus really hard and think, okay, how do I recover from this? And I think then there's always just one answer, and that's rely on his speed, rely on his aggression, rely on his opportunities to just try and find damage through raw skill and talent.
Yeah, we can't pretend that Clem's down and out. Yes, he's a little bit behind, like his build got thwarted for sure, but he's still a damn good player. And if he can survive and get to a good game without taking further economic damage, he's going to be all right. 58 SBs to 69 drones. This is not how he wanted things to start off, though.
Yeah, not having any medevacs over here, doesn't have vision past those brushes, so losing the first Widowmine really stings. Losing a Marine or two also stings, and also just forcing out a stim this early on. Now the medevacs are gonna have to take some, well, no, they're not gonna take any time to heal up. They're just gonna go straight over toward these other bases and try and, I guess, just stim up and clean up some of the creep over here at the low ground.
Oh, 3 Overlords here that are astray. That's definitely not a bad catch. This is the kind of stuff that you really would love to happen. And now Reynor, super supply block, no more drones can be made, and he has to replenish all those Overlords.
Second Spore Crawler, not quite done over here either. Cancels it at the last second, saves the drone as well. Unbelievable timing and control on that cancel right there from Reynor, but has the other Spore Crawler there to help deter some of those drops. I love just the fact that Reynor is going for the double spores to prevent additional drops, especially versus someone like Clem.
Yeah, and he's focusing a lot on Ling Bane as well, but just getting up that massive drone count that we all know he loves. That was nice focus fire there with the Widowmine there on the one that he wanted to focus, then all the Marines as well shot away. But this is very similar to what we saw in Big Gabe versus Laser. Just 2-pronged attacks happening, different spots on the map. And that creep spread is super good in the middle of the map, but around the edges, that's where Clem's going to try and abuse it a little bit.
Clem, he's actually gathering up his units and going up to the top right-hand side. It's going to be caught by the creep tumors, at least the vision. He's going to see that all this army is grouping up over here. Reynor's going to have an opportunity to regather his forces. I think he's not even going to, I don't even know if he actually had a hatchery up there. He canceled if he did.
Widowmine drop happened while all this was going off as well. 14 drones do fall, still up to 83, which just goes to show you But Reynor is hanging on. He's still pumping out a lot of units. He's all right on the upgrades as well. He's got +3 armor coming along here. And he had double Lurker Den as well. So he starts up the range and the tunneling claws, or rather, yeah, the adrenal upgrade, whatever it's called, the fast one, very, very quickly.
The harassment is still continuing to pop on in. The Lurker is very far on the backside of the hatchery, so they don't quite defend the mineral line as much. Nice transfuses coming out, saving some of the Lurkers, but 21 of those drones have fallen. Even more falling to that annoying Widow Mine, but here we go. Reynor is looking for his own form of damage, and these Banelings are not going to be deterred by a Planetary Fortress or some repairs. A handful of those workers going down, but the base going down is going to be the big win that Reynor gets there.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage done. Reynor kind of needed something like that. And we kind of talked about it. Reynor's had most success when he's thrown Clem off a little bit. Oh my goodness, that is a naked base if I've ever seen one. The tide is swinging though. You can feel it. Reynor's getting into a position now where he can defend things. These Widow Mines.
Oh my god. Finally get the juicy connections they were looking for. And also, Clem finding a lot of these Lings and Banelings on the retreat. These are going to be really nice pickoffs. That's all of the Banelings on that retreat going down. There's 0 Banelings left on the map right now, Ben. There's a lot of Lurkers, there's a handful of Hydras, and a lot of Lings, but 0 Banelings.
These Widow Mines, not only are they dealing a lot of damage, they also seemingly are doing so good for just revealing the middle of the map and Reynor's plans. That Widow Mine, I can't... Well, one of them goes off.
Yeah, finally does get some good connections there. Lings usually are just running a little bit too fast. 7 Banelings got to be morphing in. At the same time, there is that big attack on the bottom side. The Lurkers have to hold the line over here. There are 0 defensive Banelings coming on out, and the Lurkers don't have any frontline buffer. There's no Lings or anything over here. So many of them end up falling. And granted, the Bioforce is getting a little bit lower on hit points. That was a lot of Lurkers to lose.
It definitely was. I think that was all right for Clem, because right now he's just trying to buy time so he can transition to something that can deal with the Lurkers a little bit. And soon we'll probably start seeing Clem handle this game totally different and start playing super defensive against Reynor.
Maybe an opportunity for some snipes over there, but the Lings are going to come in to help defend, picking up a handful of those further forward ghosts. There aren't 12 ghosts on the map, but I think there's only about 6 or so over at the front lines. The Lurkers left to fend for themselves. A handful of them are getting sniped off over here. Yoinks on some of those ghosts is going to be able to pick them off, but the reinforcing ghosts should be arriving shortly.
Oh my, and a bunch of tanks as well. I was just thinking to myself,
Lord.
He's been producing so many tanks while this has been going off. He didn't start off on tanks. And Clem, he's taken his 5th base behind this. He's going up to 6 bases now. This is going to be super hard for Reynor. This is a really good anti-Lurker army.
Oh my god, that one shot massacring an entire village of Zerglings right there. I mean, at this point, Reynor's top right-hand bases are in so much danger, and I like that he's just expanding to the bottom center side now. That is the side that has... okay. This is just everything. He's just hard shutting down this base, but is just killing this base going to be enough? He's going to have to defend on this side as well.
I love Reynor's plan though. Like, he doesn't want to be dealing with this push right now. He doesn't want to, but look at Clem. He knew that this was a possibility. He does have a lot of ghosts. Does he have Cloak? Even if he did, he's out of energy.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing that Cloak upgrade in the upgrades tab right now. So those ghosts are going to gradually start to clean everything up as a Baneling connects with almost every single one of those ghosts right there. But, I mean, Reynor's at least able to deny that base from landing for a little bit, but that top center base is still there, mining healthily for Clem. And Reynor is really relying on getting a bit more damage with these run-bys. Now that that supply depot wall has been taken out, there's a lot more opportunities for this.
Oh, great split, though, with the ghosts. The Banelings, they deal plus light damage, but ghosts aren't light. They're just biological, so they soak up a lot of that damage. But Reynor, like, these attacks have single-handedly kept him in this. Like, they've really spread Clem's focus.
Snipes coming out again on some of these Lurkers. Transfuses trying to keep some of these Lurkers alive. There's not that many units left over here for Reynor right now. He's starting to rally on forward a few more units. He's getting another insanely large run by again. Relentless with these. Is going to look for additional damage while Clem looks with his main army to try and get additional damage done. The snipes continuing to pick away at those Lurkers, but I love that Reynor is actually splitting up those Zerglings now. He's getting damage done in multiple fronts while Clem is just getting that center base.
Look how many ghosts Clem has in this army. He's got 22 ghosts on the map. It's insane. Reynor is mining from a lot of bases. These Zerglings will eventually get cleaned up by the looks of it, but they've been worth their weight in gold at just buying time. And I think one of the... Holy crap, Clem took that base of all bases. I mean, he kind of had to, right? He had to keep on expanding.
Yeah, a little bit tough. He's going to be losing all the workers that were actually mining at this base, but all of the ghosts are up there on that north-hand side, and I think that they're going to be looking to move in from another angle that's a little bit safer from the lurkers. He gets a lot of the snipes off the Viper as well, even if it does yoink one of those ghosts, but this base is no longer. I think the bright side over here for Reynor is that this base was starting to run a little bit drier in terms of minerals and even in gas, but Reynor is looking for yet another big counterattack.
I think Clem's a lot more ready for this now, though, because it's like fool me once, shame on me kind of situation. But yeah, he's got... Yeah, this is maybe a good open base here to attack. He will take out the PF, does stop the orbital from transferring as well. But this army, how does he deal with this army? Like, does he just keep on buying time? He's got 0 gas income. What can he do?
I mean... Ben, what do you even if you have the economy, what do you go for when you are up against this many ghosts? Like, what is the ideal unit composition to have?
And Banelings are amazing. There's only 1 tank on the map, but how do you do it with no gas and no income? Like, you need overwhelming numbers. The way that Reynor wants to play, he wants to have so many drones. Right now, it's 60 versus 55. Clem, this is his golden zone right now. I can't believe he managed to get the top right base amidst all this madness, but that is absolutely going to put a clock on Reynor, because now he needs to start expanding along the bottom of the map. But if we look at his vision for a moment, he sees absolutely nothing. The whole middle of the map is completely Clem's playground. Reynor is going for that top right base, and that's enough lurkers that you don't contend with that. And Clem did go for that 3 o'clock base, by the way, which is totally Reynor's. But Reynor, how do you shut this down? This is 2 very valuable bases for you.
I mean, both of these players are going to actually be losing some of their highest value bases right now as those lurkers. Well, no, they actually get pushed back. A big swell of those ghosts come forward, sniping off a lot of those lurkers. Clem manages to defend, and while he hasn't broken through just yet, I agree, Ben. It's going to be very difficult for Reynor to break through over here, but he has so many Lings and so many Banelings over here. He's sniping off a lot of the ghosts on the front lines as well, forcing yet another pickoff. I would have loved to have seen a parasitic bomb or something from those Vipers.
He EMP'd. He EMP'd the Vipers to make sure that didn't happen. It was really clean play by Clem. But now, Reynor, that is a lot of Zerg. This Ling Bane composition with all the lurks as well. Okay, I mean, they're both playing out of their mind, and what do they both do from here? They're both doing perfectly what they need to do in the situation, but Clem, his army, he needs some AoE again, because now he knows he's up against a very different army to what he's been playing against. Big snipes.
Yeah, he's picking off a lot of those lurkers. He's once again just going to pick up as he sees so many Banelings and Lings coming in from the north side. Yet again, this base is unearthed. A lot of SCV is going to be falling over here. Not that I think usually at this stage in the game, when you got 5 orbital commands, it's not as big of a deal to fall a few workers. In fact, just going to replenish the army supply, I think, at this point.
I'd almost love to see Clem get some tanks on the high ground, but just in general, maybe a few more tanks just to help out with this situation. I know he's down to 1 factory and it's wrecked, but the Winter Mines are huge.
Oh my god, getting some massive connections over here. I like the parasitic bomb, sniping off some of these medevacs. I actually really like that Clem is even adding on a Liberator here and there just to try and put on some additional harassment with that having to send his entire army in one particular direction. But now, oh man, now that Reynor had to back off, Clem is going to be able to snipe off this base, or at least put a lot of pressure on it. And Clem, he is going to be able to get such a big victory with that, because this has been such a scrappy game at this point.
Yeah, I don't know how Reynor's not just been holding on, but absolutely fighting back. Like, he's super wounded economically. Oh, those Winter Mines are huge. And this, I think this is the change in momentum here. Like, Clem, he's got things together now. He's mining more than his opponent. That ghost count, he has to be super careful, though.
Viper's coming on forward. Winter Mines. Oh, find a massive chunk of the Zerglings on the front lines. Yet again, Clem continues to get a big supply lead coming in favor of Clem, but a handful more of these SCVs going to be going down. This base is going to be somewhat unearthed yet again, but is Reynor just losing a little bit too much there in exchange for all of that?
This is so close between them. The supplies, they've never been outside of like 10 ahead or 10 behind. The lurkers, though, They need a huge amount of Lings and Banelings to just keep them alive. And but both players know it too.
Yeah. 65 Lings out on the map right now, but 0 Banelings. Lurker's going to be able to burrow and at least push back some of these ghosts. A wonderful back and forth trade, picking off a few of these ghosts. These ghosts need to scan to get the high ground vision. They get the EMP off. They hit one of the Vipers. The other Viper does have a bit of energy still left over, but now we're starting to see the snipes coming out on the Lurkers. A big run by over here. A beautiful split from those Zerglings, keeping them alive against the Widowmine. Even going to be able to take out that Planetary Fortress thanks to the Adrenal Gland and those upgrades.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad pick-off. I mean, I know there's not many minerals left there, but every little bit helps here, and this just causes a little bit of extra chaos, and it gives him one extra way into the base of Clem.
Yeah, remember, there's the 5 orbital commands, but I mean, if those start to go down, that actually does start to hit Clem's economy a little bit. This is not one of those super comfortable hyper late game situations where you just have a bunch of minerals in the bank ready to throw up a bunch more orbital commands. Each one of these bases are important. Oh, starting to see some of the ghosts looking for the snipes, but they're getting stopped by the Lurker damage. Finally, they get those snipes off. But man, a lot of ghosts actually going down there. And at the top right-hand side, another one of the planetaries finally gets taken out.
I'm a bit surprised that he went for that, though. There was like 1 mineral patch left. I know it may not seem that bad, but that's a lot of lost Zerglings to get that down. And time, like, this base, this section of the map is far more valuable.
I think that this is basically the last 2 mining bases right now for Reynor. And I mean, one of them is hardly even mining at this point. Losing that bottom left-hand base really hurt. Losing units to these Widow Mines really, really hurt. Reynor really needs to get up another base or something. His income is just gonna struggle to keep up with Clem's if Clem is able to just keep 1 or 2 of these bases up and mining.
What's the Lurker count at? I mean, 1 less with that. Another one going down here.
3 Lurkers, 2 Lurkers left over. And there's 3 more that are gonna be on the way. Those are very, very important. A couple of Lings looking for a run by, but I mean, just the fact that it's a 3-Ling run by is so telling of the situation in this game right now.
You can see Reynor's face. He's feeling it. He's feeling the pressure. The resources lost tab is 73k versus 57 in favor of Clem. Clem re-establishing the left side of the map once again. The ghosts are marching forward. Reynor mining with 23 drones on an 8 drone base. It's looking like the beginning of the end here.
I mean, the last mining base is going to go down over here. You're going to see that mineral income literally start hitting 0. Clem is on the verge of being able to move on to the grand finals if he can just make this work. Reynor is not going to give up that easily, though. He's going for a counterattack, a little bit of a run by with a few of his remaining units. It's almost a base trade at this point. Lurker is having to burrow just to deal with individual Widow Mines. He loses the Overseer. Oh, no. I think you're right. This is not the beginning of the end anymore, the Muslim. It is the middle, the end of the end. GG.
Oh.
Clem takes the series 3-2.
What a marathon of a match there.